Chapter 1188. What's wrong? Elsa asked with a frown. Wilbur looked away and shook his head. It's nothing. Mr. Penn, is there anything you need us to do? Jay asked, hoping to curry some favor. Wilbur smiled and replied, No, thank you. All right. We'll be leaving then. Goodbye. They said goodbye to Wilbur and left. After that, Farron and Elsa also took their leave. They had a lot to do next. Wilbur sighed and led the rest back to Sea Lake Island. Charles bowed at the bridge. Wilbur glanced at him while saying, Work hard. I'll give you a job when the time comes. Charles instantly teared up from excitement. He knew what that meant. He would be living without financial worry if Wilbur said so. He actually made up his mind that he would not leave no matter what. It was because he hoped that one day he would become a cultivator like the others. That would mean a new chapter in his life, and his life would be different. Wilbur only promised him a job, but at least that meant Charles got his approval. He felt like he should continue to work hard. Charles gave himself some encouragement and was in a great mood. Wilbur went back to his room. Only Faye followed him in. The others automatically went back to their rooms. They sat on the sofa for a while. She made a pot of tea for him and said, You should rest early. I should head back to rest too. Wait, Wilbur called out. Faye had an unnoticeable smirk on her face. She sat next to him and looked at him with round eyes. Wilbur seemed awkward. He asked after a long while, Where's Nancy? Do you miss her? She teased. He coughed and replied, It's just that I haven't seen her in a long while, so I'm worried. Worried about what? She teased. He blushed and was at a loss for words. She frowned slightly because of his silence, then said, Nancy left. Huh? Where is she? Why did she leave? Asked Wilbur worriedly. She looked at him and replied slowly, She said she didn't want to disturb us, so she left. He was stunned on the sofa, and he looked lost. She had to turn her head to the other side so she could cover her mouth and laugh. It's all my fault. He lowered his gaze and blamed himself. Faye endured her laughter. She tried to look serious and said, You should reflect on your actions. With that said, she left the room. Wilbur put his hands on his head like he was in pain. Faye was in Nancy's room at that moment. They were laughing at Wilbur on the sofa. Faye also kept touching Nancy, so she was blushing hard. Suddenly, a slim figure silently snuck into Nancy's room. Endless darkness followed the figure, as if a world of absolute darkness was connected behind him. The strange part was that he appeared in the living room, but Nancy and Faye did not notice him. They were still fooling around. The slim figure stood in front of the sofa and watched them in silence.